Walking through the pain of a broken heart? Then tune in to Mystic Radio with Rob and Alexis. If you are a widow, navigating loss, or curious about mediumship, join them. Experience live on-air connections between clairvoyant medium Rob and Alexis and her deceased husband, Bob, alongside somatic practitioner and healing guide, Mary Stephenson. Download the KKNW app Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific or find them on your favorite podcast platform. And let this show help you heal.
Welcome to Mystic Radio with Rob and Alexis.
And I'm Bob Bordonaro, Robin's husband and producer of Mystic Radio, which is an experience, not an explanation.
Clearing energy for the show.
Welcome to Mystic Radio. This is Spirit Lady Robin Alexis, and I have been called Spirit Lady since the first time my husband Bob Bordonaro nicknamed me that from the moment he met me. And Bob has opened this show live once a week for 19 years. And now what you just heard is a recording of his voice. Bob left his body on March 14th, 2026. But he is still here with us in spirit. And each week I hear Bob telepathically tell me the theme of the show. And Bob has a quote he asked me to share today. Friendship is the hardest thing in the world to explain. It's not something you learn in school. But if you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you really haven't learned anything. And that's a quote from Muhammad Ali. And today it's a privilege and an honor to introduce you to Bob's once-in-a-lifetime very special friend, David Isaacs. Welcome, David.
Hi, Robin and Mary. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I'm still getting over the loss of my great friend, and I don't know if I ever will because so much of my life was intertwined with Bob, as I'll tell you about. But it's a pleasure and an honor and a way for me to keep Bob's life and spirit alive, which is very important to me.
And Bob is saying that he's tickled that you're going to be on the show and sharing some stories and celebrating his life. And he says no one else could do it quite like you, David. And he says he hasn't been this excited since he died.
Well,
so
now you're adding pressure to this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A little pressure from Bob. That's what he does, right? But let's bring on our co-host, Mary Stephenson, who is helping not only me, but other people cope with grief. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Robin. It's such an honor to be present with you and David today. It really is. And to our listeners, I am a somatic practitioner and a healing guide, which means that I work directly with clients and to help them metabolize the profound shock of deep loss in the body. You know, when a lifelong relationship transitions, it changes us in big and small ways. And this show is a meaningful space of witnessing. It's a celebration of life happening in real time over the airwaves, letting us honor the immense and life-changing impact Bob had on so many people. So, David, I am so glad you're here. We so appreciate you taking the time, and I know Bob does obviously as well, but to give our listeners a sense of your foundation together, how did your life unfold because of Bob?
Well, let me start with what my life is at this moment. You know, I'm 76 years old. I had a long career in writing for television shows, half-hour comedies in particular. I'll let people Google me without having to go through the whole list of things. I had a long career of really about 40 years on a lot of different shows, and then I transitioned out of that, as you normally do in Hollywood, because you get to a certain age and it's a sort of over, you know. It's a young man's game. But that said, I transitioned into teaching, and I'm now a full professor at the University of Southern California in the film school, and I've been there for the last almost 20 years. And at the beginning, while I was still working in the industry, but became a full-time professor, and now it's my full-time job. And so at this late date in my life, I'm still working and still, and I think that has a lot to do with continuing your life in a healthy way. I also am a husband and of a wife I've been with for 37 years, and that story will come up in a second because it involves Bob. And I'm the father of 3 daughters and the grandfather of 2 granddaughters. So I don't think anybody could have a richer life than I've had. I'm pretty much amazed. As to quote an old movie, somebody up there I think likes me. So that's where I am now. So and the reason I was able to get to the place I am now and started the journey so many years ago was really directly, in many ways, involved with Bob Bordonaro. We met in college at the University of Miami. Bob, I went to high school down in Miami and eventually started at another school, but went to Miami. Bob was from New Jersey, and he was down there. There's a lot of Northeastern kids would come down to the school. It was an easy school to get into in those days. We had a sort of reputation of suntan U, and thankfully it's a lot more as an institution. It's a great deal more has a great deal more gravitas now than it did back in the late 1960s. But we met because we were both pledging a fraternity, and sort of try to get into the social life, and we literally met playing in a touch football game and crashed into each other. And I mean that literally. And sort of we were both going for the same ball, and we sort of helped each other up and pat each other on the back, and then one thing led to another, and we started talking, and we were part of the same pledge class, so we were sort of thrust together in that way. And they do all kinds of stupid things to you during that and take you out of the edge of the city and leave you in the Everglades, and you have to make your way back. So it's all those kind of things that bond you together, and through just laughs, and we were both sort of pursuing the same idea of what we wanted to do with our lives, which was somehow to be in entertainment, I think. But we just became really good friends from our freshman year straight through to graduation. But what happened was in our sophomore year, Bob was kind of not happy with being down in Miami, and he was thinking about transferring. And he was going to move. He had already kind of put in to transfer to Boston University because he wanted to be closer to home, and also, Boston had a reputation of being a college town where there were like 4 girls to every guy. So that was part of it.
That's our Bob.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was a motivation for many things when we were young. But what happened was, right in the beginning of the spring semester, there was a concert, and Bob was at the concert. I think we were both there. I don't remember exactly because I remember the aftermath, not so much the concert. But he was going up for some refreshment, and he tripped over a girl and, sort of fell. And he got up and he asked the girl if she was okay. And, he's always a gentleman. And they got to talking. And the next thing you know, they're going out. And suddenly he's in love with this girl, and he's changed his mind. He's not going to Boston. So that's the kind of deep thinking we were doing in those days. I got a girlfriend. Why would I change my life? So he stayed, and so if he had gone to Boston, we would have stayed friends, I know, but we wouldn't have had the same connection because distance changes environment, and And so him staying sort of kept us as tight as we always were. He broke up with that girl. He met another girl at the top of the next year who I went out with. I went out with her for a little bit. We were roommates, Bob and I, and we were roommates. And I went out with this girl, and she was a very cute girl, and I liked her, but she kind of liked him, which happens and he was, Robin will tell you, he was charming to, if nothing else.
Yes.
He was a charming man. And so she fell for him, which was, a bit of a blow to me. But then again, you're 19, 20 years old and bounce back pretty quick. And it never affected my feelings about our friendship. She liked him better. They stayed together for the next 2 years. Eventually, they got married right out of college. We both also went into the Army Reserves, so we had that in common. He went before me. We both had those numbers at the lottery, and at number 7, which meant as soon as I was going to get out of school, I was going to be drafted. So we both signed up for the Army Reserves, and we went through that thing together, 6 years of that, which once again plays into the story. Right after college, he went home. He got a job at NBC as a page in New York at Rockefeller Center. He got married to his girlfriend, then wife, Lee. And then he got transferred out to Los Angeles. And this is about a year out of college. I'm living at home. I'm just trying to save up money. We had always talked about California. We'd always said, we got to go to California. And in those days, I'd never been there. He'd never been there. All we knew was California was from television, Los Angeles.
I'm going to cut you off just quick, David, because we're going to have to take a commercial break, but we're coming to the good stuff. So everybody come right back to Mystic Radio. We're going to come right back to the celebration of life and brotherhood with David Isaacs. We'll be right back.
If you are ready to find a pathway back to an embodied experience of healing and inner truth, you don't have to walk alone. Mary Stephenson is a somatic practitioner and healing guide who can help you. Receive a special rate of $100 off your first session using the code MYSTIC by visiting her site, marystephenson.com/coaching. That's Stephenson, spelled STEPHENSON.com/coaching. Your space to heal is waiting.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, August 9th, it's our energy balancing show. That means Best and Energy Codes practitioner Linda Rasmussen will be here. She'll take your phone calls and help you and your animal friends through you with emotional, behavioral, or physical issues. I hope you can join us and plan to call in for your free remote treatments. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon. Right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Welcome back to Mystic Radio with Robin Alexis, and we're going to continue our riveting conversation with David Isaacs. So, David, you were saying that Bob had gone to California. And then,
right. So I was living at home, which is never a great thing when you've graduated from college and you're living in your parents' house. But when he went to California, I thought, man, I should go, And he called me. We talk every week, and he'd go, "Get your ass out here. This is so great. You got to come out." And I thought, well, what am I going to do? I mean, I got about $700 saved up, and then I hit we used to gamble a lot. And down in Miami, it was all kinds of pari-mutuel sports that you could go. And I won about $600 on a daily double at the dog track. And now I had about $1,200. And so I said to my folks, I'm going to go to drive out to California, and I'll stay with Bob and Lee, and we'll see, I'm an only child, so it was tough for them, but they understood that this is what I wanted, and this is where my destiny was. It wasn't down there. And so I did. I made the trip out, and I stayed on their couch for 6 weeks, and it was great because I was back with my buddy, and he was at NBC, and now I got to get a job, and it's tough. It's tough to get going, and I won't bore you with all the different jobs I had, but after about 6 months, where I lived on their couch for 6 weeks, and I wanted to get out of there because I didn't, it's their marriage was early. I don't want to be like a third wheel, literally everywhere they go. And so I got a one room place, just looking for jobs, but it was lonely and it was tough. And LA can be a tough place if you don't know it and you're just trying to get started. And I started to kind of waver and think, I should, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is not for me. And I called my dad and I said, I don't know, I think I might want to just come back. Nothing's happening here. I can't get any kind of work that's paying me to have a roof over my head. And my dad said, very wisely said to me, there's nothing for you here. I know he wanted me to come back, but he was a good father. He said, stick it out a little longer. And Bob said to me, we were both Miami Dolphin fans because they started to become really good around that time. And he said, and the Dolphins were in the NFL playoffs, and he said, just stay for the games. You can't go back. We got to watch those games together. And I said, okay, that'll be fun. So I stayed through that time. And just at the end of that time, I got a job through a girl I met through Bob and Lee, who we didn't really hit it off, but she told me about a possible job at ABC in the film department. I went for it. I got it. Now I had a job, and I was like, okay, now I can. So he talked me into staying, and it paid off. And then the next thing that happened was we were both in the same Army Reserve unit, and it was a public information detachment. And in it were all these very talented young guys who were all in radio and newspaper writers, and just a really sort of elite group of people. None of us belonged in the Army, but that's another story. And in that unit was a guy that I met at the summer camp we had to go to in Fort Carson, Colorado. And Bob got me into the unit because he was already in it. And I had to transfer in somewhere because I had moved across the country, and they give you a certain amount of time to get into a new unit. And he got me into this unit. And in the unit, I met a guy named Ken Levine, who was a radio disc jockey. We hit it off. Long story short, we started writing together. And that was the beginning of my career. About 2 years after we met, we sold our first show to the Jeffersons. And a year after that, we were on MASH. And our career just took off. So Bob got me here. He got me to the opportunity to that became my life's work. He went on to move to RKO Radio. He started getting into radio sales, and he ran the RKO radio sales division. And there was a young woman working for him as his assistant. And I would go to meet him for lunch, and all three of us would go to lunch sometimes. And she was a cute girl. And, but she was going with somebody and I was going with somebody. And so we stayed friends, like, hey, Leslie, how you doing, David? Blah, 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 meet at a party, just like that. About 2 years later, after that, 2 or 3 years after that, Bob was having his, must have been about his 30th or 31st birthday. And I went to the birthday, and Leslie was there. And now she wasn't going out with anybody, and I wasn't going out with anybody. And we sort of hit it off, like we should go out. Long story short, that becomes my wife of 30. So
how many years?
37 this year.
Amazing.
Wow. So, and
Married.
how many years did you work with MASH?
I was
How
on
many years?
MASH basically wrote for 4 seasons in the middle of the run of the show. So seasons 5, 6, 7, 8. And
So you wrote MASH and you met Leslie and you've been with her 37 years. And this is all from this fluidity of bumping into Bob, playing flag football.
If he doesn't, I'll take it, the fact that I met him, but if he hadn't fallen over that girl, which was totally not me in any part of that, he would have left. And I know the trajectory of both of our lives would have been different. Because he was the way I got to California. And I guess it was just like, my own sort of fairy godfather. I don't know. What would you
He was
call
like
it?
an executive producer of your life.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Thank you. You brought the television part back into it. That's what he was. We always stayed friends. We never, we played ball together. We were competitive with each other, but we were the best of friends. We bonded a lot because of our fathers. We're very similar types. Even though he had 3 brothers and I was an only child, we would talk a lot about our dads and our moms. And our dads were both kind of guys that we were a little bit afraid of, and our moms were sort of these sort of more sweet, passive women. And so I think we bonded a lot over that, over the idea of, why do you become friends? We talk about those kind of things. And then our lives sort of bifurcated a little bit because Bob left Los Angeles and started his journey in radio up in the Bay Area and then in San Francisco and then Seattle and went on his employment journey and also his spiritual journey, and eventually, met up with Robin. And I can say, having known all of the women in Bob's life, he finally got it right with Robin. So in every way. So because I know if he's listening, he's laughing right now because he he experimented for a long time until he until he found the right formula, and which was Robin, and completed him in the ways you hope someone will in your life. But that's the sort of overview of our friendship for all those years. And even though we were separated, in terms of seeing each other quite a bit, and I really hadn't seen him for a number of years in person, and it's one of the, talk about getting verklempt. I wish I had gotten one more chance to just be with him and hang out because I missed his laugh and I missed his and we always had the history of all the people we knew, and we would just laugh about all the mistakes we made and all the things we did, and we still talk to each other about the sports teams that we loved, and it was just a great friendship, and you lose. I lost both my parents a number of years ago, and that's tough, but you kind of know that's coming because that's the circle of life. But when your good friends, your contemporaries, your generation, leave you, that's almost more shakes the ground under your feet, I think, a little bit more, and it's profound in a way that because you just see those people as kind of immortal in their way. You could joke about who's going to go first, but you never think it's going to be that person. You can't necessarily think about because the other person leaves such a hole in your life. So
David, we've got a couple minutes left, and I'd love
Sure.
just to hear like one or two things that you would say to Bob right now, like what he gave to you.
Well, he gave me my life. I mean, I would be shortchanging him if I said anything less. He was there for me. He encouraged me because I could, I'm not exactly the world's most positive person. And he was, and I relied on him a lot for that.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I could make him laugh, and that was I think that was great for him as well. I mean, we played off each other quite well, but I I just wish he had a chance to see everything that he had. He could look at my credits, and he could watch TV and see my name and say that's my friend, and say I'm partly responsible for all that, and not that he would brag about that, but just to see the most important thing to me, which is
He could have.
the family. Yeah, the family that I have, that he was once again, yeah, had he not been in this place in time and been connected to my future wife. I don't know.
And David, David, his parting words to you is he sees a boy. So maybe there's someone bringing a boy into your life. Just that's what Bob, who knows? Maybe it will get reincarnated.
It's about time I had a
He's
boy.
not saying that. I am.
It's about
Well,
time.
he's bringing it up.
Good. Well,
All right. Well,
he's working
let's
up
see.
there.
Let's see what Bob. Yeah, let's see
Working
how
up
he
there is gonna do
influences
it.
your life from the other side.
I'm going to remember
David,
that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, what have you got to say?
Well, I was just going to thank him for honoring the stories and reminding the listeners that we don't walk this journey alone. We really don't. And even when people transition, they're still walking with us.
Absolutely.
Right?
No,
And
no man is an island, and
no man is an island.
I've had great relationships in my life. I'm lucky that way. I had a long-term relationship with a partner, a professional partner, a long-term relationship with a wife, and a longer-term relationship with a great friend who I will always remember, and will always be by my side, I know. And one day I'll see him.
Yes, you will.
Robin, I'll let you take it away as we close the episode.
Well, everyone, go ahead and Google David Isaacs. He's one famous man. He's being very, very humble. And everyone, if you want to laugh, which Bob wants you to do, laughter is the best medicine. Go watch MASH. Go watch Cheers. And what other shows were you involved in, David?
Oh, right
very
behind
quickly,
me.
that
Right
would make
behind me,
people
if I can
laugh.
get out of the way.
Simpsons.
You'll see The Simpsons. I'm in my office here, and that's a collage that I got from working on The Simpsons, and it's signed by all the people who
Wow.
voices and the creators and stuff. So it's one of my prized possessions. My students see this, and practically, I'm lucky it hasn't been stolen, because it's my one way to immediately connect with my young students, because everybody loves The Simpsons.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to end the show. Thank you so much, David. Bob is just sending you love sprinkles, and he's working on his end with me as the metaphysical mother to bring you a boy. We'll see what happens.
We'll see
Thank
what
you,
happens. I
Mary.
will
Thank you,
report
everyone, for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
You've been listening to Mystic Radio with Rob and Alexis. Are you a widow or grieving a deep loss? Are you curious about mediumship? Then this show is for you. Join clairvoyant medium Rob and Alexis as she speaks live on the air with her deceased husband, Bob, while being supported by somatic practitioner and healing guide, Mary Stephenson. Download the KKNW app Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific, or listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you are suffering from a broken heart, let this show help you heal yourself.